Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So when Minkah Fitzpatrick was traded, I was in complete shock. And the first thing that I said was, when the Pittsburgh Steelers defense starts giving up huge plays on the back end, I don't want to hear anybody complain. I said this is going to be a huge mistake for the Pittsburgh Steelers and the defense, and everybody takes for granted what Minkah Fitzpatrick actually does. And what happens in the first two games of the 2025 NFL season for the Pittsburgh Steelers? We give up two deep crossing patterns for touchdowns, absolute bombs for touchdowns, big plays, something that no team in the NFL can ever afford to give up. When Minkah Fitzpatrick was a Pittsburgh Steeler, how often do we see that? Not very often. But since he's not in the secondary anymore, what happens? 2 weeks in a row to start the 2025 season. Don't say I didn't warn you. And here's another thing that everybody takes for granted. Minkah's tackling when teams were running the football and he would come up from his safety position and had to tackle somebody one-on-one in the open field. Guess what happened? The team, 90% of the time, didn't score. And so far, Jalen Ramsey, he's been targeted 13 times. Quarterbacks have completed 10 passes for like 125 yards and a touchdown. He's been a complete liability in coverage. And here's another thing. Terrell Austin, he came out yesterday and said the safety is to blame on those deep crossing patterns for touchdowns. Now you see Jalen Ramsey running with the receiver. Do I feel he should have made a play on the ball? Yeah, if you're if you're that guy, if you're a Hall of Famer, if you're that big stud that everybody fears in the NFL, even though the safety didn't do his job to some degree, he could have still made a play on the ball. He just couldn't get to the receiver. He doesn't have that elite Rod Woodson speed. And you saw it. You've seen it for the last 2 weeks. So now that we know 100% that it's the safety's fault on the play on those deep crossing patterns for touchdowns, do you miss Minkah Fitzpatrick? Yes or no? I'll never understand this fan base sometimes. You know, players all around the league, millions here and millions there, and they spend this type of money on this one, and this idiot got 10 million. Meanwhile, he played, he's been in the league 9 years and had one good season. And the fans, they won't complain because he's a new guy, or Steelers fans won't complain. He's a new guy. But then the players that earn the money, that deserve to get paid what the market is set at, you get mad at. You dump on them. Is it because of the money? Are you jealous? Well, it's not our fault. We all chose other professions other than football. It just makes no sense. I firmly believe that the Jalen Ramsey trade has not worked out for the Pittsburgh Steelers so far. I'd rather give up that underneath stuff all day long. 7 yards here, 5 yards there, 3 yards there, because at least it gives your defense another opportunity to make a play. When you're giving up big bombs for touchdowns right off the bat, right out of the gate, boom, 40-yard touchdown. One play, big plays, back-to-back weeks. Let's see if we force the Patriots. Let's see which safety doesn't do their job. I know Minkah's really not that good. He just stands back there like a statue. He doesn't seem interested. He doesn't make the big splash. That's all you heard, the big splash play. The big splash play, that's the big word, the big splash play. Oh, we're giving up big splash plays now. They're called touchdowns. They're called 40, 50-yard bombs. It's almost like if you don't do stupid things like a Max Crosby running his mouth all the time, coming with his Gucci pocketbook, dressed in head to toe and matching Gucci, just acting like an idiot on the field. Oh, that's too boring. He's not doing his job anymore. We need to get rid of him. That's almost like the fan base attitude. Hey, listen, I'll take that boring guy, the lunchbox type player that you don't hear a word from, that doesn't give up big plays on the back end and just does his job and wants to live like a normal human being and act like a normal human. Am I asking for too much in 2025? Because that's what it seems like. So far, So far, you could say whatever you want, but Jalen Ramsey has been victimized in coverage. And Garrett Wilson, he's a number one receiver, obviously, so he has talent. Last week, first the Seahawks, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp's towards the end, and that other receiver, I can't pronounce his name, Enigmu. They're good receivers. They're not the elite receivers. He hasn't lined up from Jamar Chase, I can tell you that right now. And Jalen Ramsey got lucky because Joe Burrow's out now. But I guarantee you wouldn't have gone good with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase catching the football against Jalen Ramsey, because it hasn't looked good so far. Fine, I don't know. It might be the coverages. It might not. I don't know what's going on, but I know one thing that's going on. 13 targets, 10 receptions, and 130 yards and a touchdown in only 2 weeks of football. He doesn't sound like shutdown corner to me. Doesn't look like a great trade to me. Hey. Pittsburgh Steelers fans and a lot of people just take a lot of things for granted, and you're seeing that. And if it happens this week again, a big play on the back end where the safeties are at fault for the big touchdown, I don't care what happens the rest of the season, the Minkah Fitzpatrick trade for Jalen Ramsey is a failure. Browns' Myles Garret leaves out TJ Watt, says he and Micah Parsons are generation's two very best pass rushers. Yeah, I know, Myles. Just like Mason dropped the N-bomb at the bottom of the pile. You never lie. You never lie. Myles Garret seems to have a really vague memory, and he has a mental disorder. He's obviously suffering from it out in the open. I think we're two of the very best, Garrett's full comment said, as shared by the Browns transcript. I think we're two of the very best in this generation. So just got to continue to lead the way. There are definitely some other names in that conversation, but I think saying that he's in it and that I'm in it, it's not out of the norm. Garret added other names are near them in the conversation, but he opted against mentioning others specifically. Clearly, that includes TJ Watt, the man who is most often compared to Garret in career resumes, in the never-ending discussion of who is better. I really wonder why Myles Garret is saying that. If I had to bet why Myles Garret is saying that, I guarantee it has nothing to do with football. Hey, but you're not allowed to talk about the big elephant in the room in 2025. No big deal. Hey, Myles, it's never too late to see a psychiatrist for being a lying piece of garbage that you are. Remember your accusations against Mason Rudolph that all just seemed to go out the window? Did Roger Goodell come in and suspend you for saying that Mason Rudolph used a racial slur towards you at the bottom of the pile? Even your own teammates just were making face like, what the hell is he talking about? Of course not. But hey, it's just another day in Roger Goodell's woke NFL. What else would you expect? Derek Harmon is expected to make his debut this Sunday against New England Patriots, and I think Steelers fans are going to be happy what they see from the effort from the first-round draft pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I usually don't agree with anything that Chris Long has to say, but he came out yesterday and he said that the Pittsburgh Steelers defense hasn't been the same since Dick LeBeau left, and I couldn't agree more. We've been hearing all summer long these new looks, these new schemes, these new blitzes, exotic this, exotic that. So far, TJ Watt has about 106 snaps, and 98 of them all been on the same side of the field. So it's just, here we go again. Could you imagine if TJ Watt is getting double and triple teamed every play, as he usually is, and instead of just rushing him like mindlessly, like banging your head on a concrete wall, you drop him back into coverage to the middle of the field to confuse the quarterback, and somebody else blitzes from a different side of the field or from a different angle to confuse the quarterback? Wow, I'm really talking rocket science right now, huh? Maybe I should coach the defense. Maybe I should come up with the schemes. Because if TJ Watt makes 6 tackles in a game but can't get to the quarterback because he's getting triple teamed on third down, maybe, just maybe, we should drop him back to the middle of the field and send a blitz from somewhere else. Blitzburg football? But no. Let's just line up TJ Watt on the left. Let's just line up Nick Herbig on the right or Alex Highsmith, and we're just going to kick your ass all day long, and we're not going to scheme because we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. God. Game hasn't even started yet, and I'm pissed off. Well, this is it this week. This is the big game. This is the Steelers playoff game. This is the Steelers Super Bowl because, again, the following week we go to Ireland, and I know for a fact we are not going to play well. We are going to lose the football game. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose to the New England Patriots, now we're 1-2. Then we're going to Ireland, and we will be 1-3. And I don't think we're going to be able to pull ourselves out of the mess that we got ourselves in. The New England Patriots game is an absolute huge game for the Pittsburgh Steelers that they absolutely need to win. I don't want any good effort. I like all of this or that. I don't care what you have to do to win. I don't care what rookies got to be in for the guys that can't perform that are already in their spots. If we start losing this football game and we just start ramming our head into a concrete wall like we always do and don't change anything and start off the season 1-3, something has to change soon because this can't go on for 17 weeks. I believe that if the Pittsburgh Steelers lose the game versus the New England Patriots, we are going 8-9 for the season, and this will be the first time in Coach Tomlin's career where he's not 500 or better. What do the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do? They need to give the football to Jalen Warren 20 times or more. They need to sack the quarterback at least 3 times. Obviously, they need to stop the New England Patriots run. And we need to run the football. Keys to the game. Don't need some, every statistic in front of me. Pro Football Focus says this, it says that. We need to keep Aaron Rodgers off the ground. We need to run the football. We need a couple sacks. We need a turnover from the defense. And we need to come out clicking on all cylinders. We can't afford to start slow. And if we're really feeling crazy, if we're really feeling wild on a Sunday afternoon, maybe we could drop TJ Watt into some coverage and try some different blitz packages instead of just lining up and just saying, we're going to kick your ass because we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.